Suso, tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Goal! Alessio Romagnoli, goal! Alessio
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher, and I'm joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. You can follow me on Twitter at Torgud45, and we also have maybe Madison with us.
Hey guys, I'm happy to be here. You guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Madison_DT.
So for those of you who can't see what's just happened, who aren't on the video, Maddie's just held up a version of himself, basically, that he got sent on Instagram. Maddie, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so Michael is, I think he's from Australia. He is normally one of the first listeners each week. If I screw up on an audio, boom, he always messages me and goes, "Hey man, something's wrong." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And he sent me his impersonation of me, which was that. So I got a good laugh out of that. So yeah, that's about it.
Good stuff. So Ibrahimovic is 38. I don't know how else to start it. He's injured.
Yeah.
That is probably the main headline of the week so far, I would say. We all went back into us included. The squad went back into group training on Monday at Milanello, and of course it came out on Tuesday morning that Ibrahimovic had to leave the training session early because the story is that there was a throw-in during one of the group training drills. Serie A teams are now allowed to train in groups because the protocol's been passed and players are doing continuous testing to ensure that none of them have coronavirus. So as part of that, the rumour is that he overstretched to go for a throw-in and left the pitch limping and with a pretty dark expression on his face. A few different outlets picked up on that, saying that it might be an Achilles tendon problem, like the one that kept Leo Duarte out 3 months, 4 months, however long it was. And a few people were then fearing subsequently that he might be out for the rest of the season. And then the connotations that come with that are that he might have played his last game for Milan, he might have played the last game of his career. Panic stations, basically. And then it's come out that he'll be out for about a month, possibly 5-6 weeks, with an overstretched calf. He'll be monitored again. He'll have another scan in 10 days, June the 5th, I think. And for the meantime, he's racking up air miles going back to Sweden.
Yeah, he's not done too well with the whole, stay-at-home isolation thing. He's just going to his his first home, where they don't seem to have any rules. Sweden's a lawless land, apparently, so they're just kind of doing whatever they want out there. But yeah, that injury scare was not something I wanted to wake up to. It went from bad to worse to okay. So that was an interesting roller coaster for the day. But yeah, I mean, if it's only a month, there's potential that he's probably back before the season even starts, or might miss a couple games depending on how frequent they do it. But it's not too bad. It gives Liao a chance to really start. It gives everyone else a chance to show what they're going to do up top. So I hope it's not his last game. I hope it's definitely not the end of his career. But it is what it is. I mean, at 38, every injury is a lot more serious than it should be.
Yeah, if he ends his career because of coming back from training after COVID, just what a way to go out for him, That would suck.
His last game played behind closed doors, that'd be miserable.
Right.
I bet you both £50 that's not the last competitive game that he plays in his career. There's no way that Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to go out like that.
No,
I already owe you beers at a Tigers game, so I'm not going to be betting you anything.
Yeah, if it's his last Milan game, that's a possibility. But at the very least, he plays for Hammaraby or whatever the fuck they're called in Sweden.
Hammarby, yeah.
Hammarby, yeah.
I
was thinking of Harambe, the gorilla.
I think that's
I was like,
Harambe,
you just mixed the two.
I think that's becoming a more and more realistic scenario by the week, to be honest with you. When you consider that he owns 25% shares, that literally means that he can instantly off the bat take at least a 25% pay cut, because that's less money that he owes himself.
Yeah.
We'll see. I also don't think that Zlatan would want his Milan career to end like that, and I don't think it will. If we're talking 4 to 5 weeks for the recovery, let's say we're talking 3 weeks until he gets back into training, then a bit more time to get back up to match speed, whatever it might be. I don't think he's played his last game for us, because I don't see Serie A ending until sort of mid-August, to be honest, even though the apparent proposal is to start the next season sometime in September. I just don't think he's played his last game for us. It's a difficult one though, because as soon as the news came in of the injury, there is obviously the speculation that he may have played his last game for us and that he may have played the last game of his career. Given that he's 38, will be 39 early next season. But then there is also the thing that comes with it, in that it makes me realise how thin we are in depth. You know, the one thing that we didn't need, letting Piontek go, who scored today, by the way, for her.
So did Andre Silva. Or he scored yesterday.
I mean, funny, because Piontek was a penalty and Andre Silva was a tap into an open net from 2 yards, but I suppose positioning and everything, it all counts. But it just reinforces, as we've said so many times after January, how threadbare we are in terms of striking options.
Dude, we've been thin every year. It's just maybe not be striker. I feel like last season it was defense. This year it's attack. 2 years ago it was midfield. Like, we just can't seem to get a I don't know even know what to say, but
just depth.
Depth. Yeah. You know, and this always happens.
It seems like every time we improve every time we improve on like a position that we're short in, we get rid of the dead weight, which is fine, which is smart, but then one injury sets us to where we're screwed again. So it's almost like we need to sign those improvement players, keep the dead weight around for another season or two until we can get replacements for the dead weight that aren't going to be starter level, you know? And that's obviously down the road, because you can't win things if you're just signing backup caliber players. You got to sign those starters as well. So it's an interesting cycle we found ourselves in this last decade.
Interesting as in pretty much very, very bad.
Yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked.
There's either a lot of depth with no quality, or no depth and quality in that particular position. If you look at what Ibrahimovic did when he arrived, and I will give purely credit for this, when Ibrahimovic arrived, he switched the formation and addressed our lack of goal scoring by playing two up front. And he did it with Leao at first, and then he did it with Rebic, and both looked pretty good. Obviously, it got Rebic into goal scoring form. Ibrahimovic missed a little bit of time, but it was at a period where we could afford it. So we were able to play a cup game with Piontek starting up front, and we were able to give Leao and Rebic a bit of time up front. But really, the problems never went away. And as I say, we mentioned so many times on this podcast before that we're relying on a 38-year-old here, both in terms of his leadership and in terms of his actual ability on the pitch to be able to drag us to a European spot. And now we're in a position where we really, really need to hit the ground running in order to make sure that we reach those European spots, the Europa League at the very least, which is probably all we can achieve at this point, and to have at least a half-decent crack at the Coppa Italia semi-final second leg. And we're not going to have him. And I suppose that's what happens. You know, there are a few pundits who I think have made some misguided comments since the injury saying, you know, that's what happens when you pin your hopes on a 38-year-old. I think Ibrahimovic isn't your standard 38-year-old football player. You know, he's got an incredible physique. He's always athletically at the pinnacle. He wouldn't let himself be anything below that. But at the same time, muscle strain is a thing as you get over 30, as you get over 35. It's just a thing. And perhaps some people might point the finger at the fact that he was still training with Hammarby when other players were getting rest, or rest in relative terms. They weren't doing the group training and stuff. But, you know, I don't knock him for anything. It's just one of those things that happens. And if it's a moment,
there's one thing I can knock him for. He plays a lot of Fortnite. That's no
thumb
good.
Injury.
Yeah, thumb injury.
And he rides motorbikes as well.
Yeah, that was weird, huh? It was like before anyone said that the tendon was fine, it was just like, oh yeah, he tore his Achilles, and then he posted a video of him riding a motorcycle. I'm like, well, it can't be that bad. So
I assume that's from before. I assume.
There was a Tigers player who had a thumb injury from playing Guitar Hero and had to sit out of a couple weeks.
Was that the guy who Oh no, Guitar Hero. There was one player who got tendonitis from playing video games so much, and they finally came up with the medical term Nintendonitis, which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
That's hilarious.
That player was, but that was really good. So yeah, Ibra 38. That's what happens. He's not crocked by any means. You know, he had a bad ACL injury when he was at Man United, but I said fairly fit for a guy in his late 30s, and obviously he's going to be 39 next season. I wonder what happens now regarding his new deal. I imagine everything's on hold until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And obviously, it also probably quashes his urgency a little bit as well. You know, he's not in a position now to push us around and say, I need that new deal now, otherwise I'm going to... He must have a little something to prove.
I'd imagine he's a free agent for a little bit. I think we'll re-sign him, but I think it might be a little bit after his contract expires. Like what happened at United. You know, he re-signed and got a new number and all that. I bet the same shit happens here.
I think this, if anything, makes it more likely that he stays.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I just think it'll be at the end of his contract, he'll have to sign a new one a couple days later instead of.
And I think it helps our hopes of signing him on a deal with a slightly lower salary as well. We might be able to, if before we had to pay 6 mil net for next season, we might be able to get away with 4 million euros net, for example. And
well, it also depends on how soon Rangnick comes in, if he even does. You know, I mean, if he's going to have this unprecedented role, why are we going to be re-signing players now? Why not just wait till we have our new leader?
Right.
It's interesting, though, because obviously there's been... Belia, I guess, goes regardless, but Bonaventura, I know you don't particularly like him, AJ, and, you know, I still see the value in keeping someone like that around as a depth option, but for whatever reason, there has been no talks at all regarding a new deal, and the 3 teams that are apparently interested in him as of this week are Roma, Lazio, and Atalanta, and I still think that should probably worry us a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, that they've seen something that we haven't. But for some reason, we're not even talking about a renewal. We haven't sat down with him and said, all right, take $1 million less a year and you can stay around.
Well, I think Bonaventura is more... Yeah, exactly. I think he's not as much of a priority because we know he would do it. We could offer him a lower wage, and I don't think he would have a problem. He would understand why and would still be down for it, you know? So I think even if it waits a little bit and say his contract runs out...
Should we not do that then?
I think we should. No, absolutely. We should sign him another one. You're right. He's a decent depth player, and it's a position we're weak in, but I think we should get the other stuff first. And even if his contract expires and he's free to negotiate with other teams, I think he would, out of good faith, still approach us first and be like, yo, Lazio offered me this or something, you know? And we'd say either, okay, we'll match it, or we could give you a little bit less if you're willing to continue with us. You know, we have a great history. And I think he would. So I don't think it's a priority because they know that he's willing to continue.
I don't think they want him. I think it's just that simple, which is unfortunate because I like him a lot. And I think he still has more to give to the club in his ability and leadership and, you know, on the field creativity. But I don't think the club want him here.
I think it's important, given that we are about to really hit the factory reset button on this. And
how old is he going to be? 32 or 30?
30.
30. Okay.
30 by the start.
He's not even that old. I mean, like he's old, but he's not like that
old. Like we're talking about we're talking about giving an extra year to a guy who's 8 years older. There'll be 2 World Cups played between the time that Age is Zlatan, which is mental. But yeah, I think it's. I think it's a difficult one because with renewals that are obviously close to this deadline that is June 30th, I think it's June 30th, not June 1st. But these deadlines that are close to June 30th is that teams are obviously going to tap them up, especially teams in Italy that might have been waiting for a while because the rule is that in January you can sign a pre-contract with a club abroad but not one domestically. So these are teams that might have been queuing up for a while, especially when Jack had that comeback after his injury and looked really good. He scored 2 in his first 3 games and he looked sort of back to his best. And then he dropped off a little bit since then, admittedly. But, you know, his salary demands aren't excessive in particular. But when I look at that list of teams that are interested in him, you've got obviously Lazio, Roma, Atalanta, who are sort of our top 4 rivals. But then the 2 teams after that in... actually, there's basically 4 teams after that have been mentioned. There's Parma, Brescia, Torino and Fiorentina, who are all, I would say, below us at the moment in terms of standing, in terms of where they are. Those are the 4 that seem more realistic, you know. Atalanta perhaps because it'd be a bit of a homecoming for him of sorts. But yeah, those are the 4 that seem a bit more realistic. But again, it's whether they can pay his salary. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Obviously, Belia, easy to let go. And then you've got players like Simon Kjaer, and you think, you know, do you keep him around for the fee that it would take, and you have him as an option of experience? And when you've got a supposedly incoming head coach who tends to prefer having younger players, It throws everything way up in the air, basically.
But he's also not going to hit the ground run. Like, it's going to take time to build that.
I
So
think
why
it's
not
important.
keep some of the older players here while he's bringing in the younger players?
I was going to say, I think it's important to have a bridge player or two in there, players that have been through all the rubbish to see what's gone wrong. And Bonaventure is one of them. He's been with us since 2014. And obviously, Ibrahimovic was here during our last sort of, not golden era, but good era in the 10-11
Silver.
season. Thiago Silva's another. There's been rumours that we want to kind of replace Ibrahimovic with Thiago Silva, not up front, but in the leadership role. Again, will totally depend on salary, but I just don't see it happening. I think we're going to be going down people keep referencing this idea that Rangnick had Raul at Schalke, which is true. He was 34 years old back then, was Raul, and he did a really good job for Rangnick's Schalke side. But then it's a completely different thing now. It feels like he was at Schalke. What was it, about 15 years ago now, something like that, a long time ago, that he was at Schalke, and I feel like he's kind of refined his tactics even more so now, whereby it comes down to you look at keeping Ibrahimovic on a 10 million, 12 million gross salary, as in that's the amount we have to pay him. You think, okay, let's spend that money on Myron Boadu or somebody like that, a young player that will fit his system a little bit more, or even give one of the Primavera lads a bit of a chance. But yeah, that's it. That's where we are. How will you line up without Ibra? Would you stick Leao up front?
For now, yeah, unless we go for someone else. But yeah,
I'd buy someone else. I don't think.
Wait.
Can be a
between now and the end of the season. Let's assume we can't buy anybody else.
Okay.
We've got a problem to fix between now and.
So this is gonna make me look like a shitty fan, but have we been playing with two strikers? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Not really. We've been playing. Our most recent formation was a 4-2-3-1 with the attacking midfielder usually.
That's what it was. Okay,
playing like a bit further up.
And then
Rebic getting very central as well. Obviously.
Yeah. So I would have Leao up top as long as Rebic is still in that 3-man attacking midfield section.
Yeah. Maddie?
I think that's really our only option.
And then I would also give Maldini some minutes as well. See what he can do, Throw him on with 30 minutes left in a game, and hopefully he can create some chances or show his worth, because I don't know if Leao can do it. It really, in this kind of formation, I feel like he, I don't know. He kind of seems like he'll create his own chances. I don't know. Leao, sure.
It's interesting because obviously we paid whatever, including bonuses, 13 million plus for Leao last summer, and he's disappointed. It'd be fair to say he's only scored 2 goals all season. But we're going to give a 20-year-old kid a chance to show what they can do. It has to be this. If I were Leao, I'd be very disheartened if he hadn't already been told by Pioli, you're going to get a run of games here because Ibrahimovic is injured and you're our only other striker. I'd be really disappointed if I was him and if I was left out.
But there's just not another option.
There are no other options. Well, I see it that there's 3 other options and all of them involve Leao starting.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
In terms of where we are at the moment. The first one is very easy. We stick with the 4-2-3-1 and we play Leao instead of Ibrahimovic. I don't think that's as easy as it sounds because it's a completely different thing. Since December, since Ibrahimovic returned, Pioli has built his team around having a target man and a runner. So if you all of a sudden want to play a 4-2-3-1 without a target man, I think it could look pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it in practice, but I don't think it would go very well. The second option is to switch to a 4-4-2 again and to play with a left winger or left midfielder that would be either Çalhanoğlu or Bonaventura. Then you'd have Benacer and Kessie in the midfield, Castillejo. Then you play with Leao and Rebic up front as a pairing and see how that works. I think that's going to be difficult because although Leao's not exactly short, he can't play the hold-up role that well. And Rebic is definitely more of a support striker. You need a more natural number 9 in there to play that, in my opinion. It'd be perfect if we had Jovic and stick them 2 up front, but, and then the other option, and this is the one that I'd go for, is to play a 4-3-3 again. And the reason for that being that the back 4 kind of stays the same. I'd stick Calabria in there because Calabria looks best in a 4-3-3. Then you have Benacer, but then you have Kessier as a box-to-box. Then you have Paqueta. And the best we've seen from Paqueta is as a left-sided central midfielder who's allowed to roam forward. We saw that under Gattuso when him and Piontek started really well after they joined. So I'd just throw him there and say, let's get a bit of recovery out of him as well. Then you have Castillejo, Rebic on the left, and Leal up front. But have Leal play as a bit of a false nine and let him drop in like Menez did that season, and have the front three all rotate so Rebic can go centrally and just drag defenders all over the place. That's probably the best way to play without a natural centre forward. But I'm glad that I'm not paid to fix that problem.
I wish you were.
Get on Football Manager and see how it works.
Yeah.
Right, lads, decided to do something. I've got a quiz.
Hopefully I pass.
I did warn you about this. But
How many questions is it?
There's 10 questions.
Oh, fuck.
So what we're going to do here is I will ask the question, and then alphabetically, AJ, you're first, then Maddie. But there are a couple of questions where I'll just say first answer, because, no, what actually I've changed the rules because what I've realised is there's enough questions to. I'm going to say first to get it right wins, apart from a couple of questions where you get to take it in turns, okay?
Oh, I hope Maddie starts stuttering.
I will keep...
Asshole.
I will keep score here. The winner gets a pint off me or whatever. Actually, AJ, announce the giveaway winner while we're at it, because otherwise I'll forget.
We pull him back up because I forgot who it was.
Then we double check that they're listening.
Yeah,
someone from Scotland.
You're right. It is someone from Scotland. Callum_S99. You are the winner. So if you're listening, good. Give us a DM, and we could organize getting you whichever shirt you want and whatever size you need. So again, give us a DM if you're listening. Congrats, you won, and thank you to everyone who entered. We had quite a few participants. Everyone seemed to know the answer pretty quickly, so that was awesome. All right. So
Great
again,
stuff. Yeah.
Callum_S_99 or something like that. You know who you are.
Yeah, just drop us a DM on the SempreMilan account. We'll sort it out for you. In fact, I'll send it from where I am to save on postage here in England, whatever. So this first one, 10 questions, as I say. You don't have to write anything down. It's just going to be a say it as you
It's
hear
so
it.
awkward when neither of us know it.
It should start nice and easy. So this one, and I'm going to assume that your connection is the same. So like whoever I hear say the answer first, I'm going to give it to. In what year were Milan founded?
Oh, 1899.
Maddie gets it.
It's because I said
You
it's
said-
on my arm.
You said
yeah, it's on
oh.
mine too. Yeah,
The problem was that you said oh.
I know.
Right. And question number 2, again, first one to get it wins. Milan were founded on the 16th of which month?
February? Oh, no. I don't
September.
No, it's June.
Ooh. Keep going until one of you gets it.
April, May, June, July,
This
August,
motherfucker.
September, November, December.
January.
Maddie gets it. It's December. That is dreadful. Okay, so this is going to be difficult then. I've just realised because the third question, no, this is hard. This is hard. So Milan's nicknames are the Rossinieri, which means red and black, the Diavolo, which means the devil, and their third nickname is the Caschivit. And what does that translate to mean?
I've never even heard that before.
I've
I've never heard that in my life.
You are shite fans, lads.
I've never heard that. What does that mean?
So we're passing.
Yeah, Maddie doesn't know it. Do you? He said he didn't know it either.
He's
What is
Googling it. No, I'm not having that. Right, so neither of you get it.
What is it? Like, say it again.
Caschivit.
Yeah, that's rich of you to think he could spell that in Google.
Yeah, dude, I can barely spell anything.
So neither of you get that right, but the correct answer is that it means screwdriver, and it's meant to be like a nod to the fact we have a working class fan base. See, if you were proper fans, you'd know that one. Okay, question number 4. Again, first one to get it gets the point. Gren, Nordahl, and Liedholm are from which country?
Sweden.
Some fucking bitch, man. I actually knew that too.
Maddie's 3-0 up.
I know.
Right. Question number 5. You get one shot at this, so one answer only, please. And I will go with whoever is closest. Shevchenko joined Milan from Dynamo Kiev in 1999. For what transfer fee in euros?
3.7 million euros.
I've got this from the UEFA website, just for those who may dispute this.
3.7 million. In 1998?
99.
99. I'll say 4.8 million euros.
Maddie gets the point. It's 26 million euros.
Whoa!
he scored a hat-trick against Barcelona in the weeks leading up to him joining us. So, anyway, Maddie has almost got an insurmountable lead at this point.
I did not want to guess some, like, I was thinking, like, it's got to be more than 3, but it can't be more than 10, because it's 99. But
there's
if Maddie gets one more, you've won. I can't come back if you get one more point.
There's 5 more questions.
Yeah, but we had
all of these are closest though, so you've got a chance still. How many Serie A appearances did Paolo Maldini make?
798.
Sounded really confident, but I know that's incorrect. It's over 800, so I'll just, to be safe, just go above Maddie and say 800.
647.
I thought it was like 899 or something.
Total appearances is well above, but Serie A appearances is the one.
Oh, just Serie A. God damn it! I was thinking just Milan.
Yeah, if you'd listened, mate. We'll carry on just to see how many Maddie wins. I wasn't expecting this. How many goals in all competitions did Alexandre Pato score for us?
34.
Should I say 35? I'll say 42.
Maddie wins again.
How many?
63.
Really?
63 is the answer. This is going to be.
I didn't realize he was that prolific, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, the closest answer wins. I'll let AJ go first, and then Maddie.
It doesn't
What is
matter.
the current, at the moment that we record this, what is the current official capacity of San Siro?
Is this a trick question? Because it should be 0. No one's allowed in.
Nah, you know what I mean. Basically, the full capacity, but it's had a bit closed.
So you're saying with the third tier closed off?
There are 2 sections of the third tier closed.
Okay. So it's like...
This is what I have as of that update.
So it's like 64,000, I think? Because with all of it, it's like 81. But with that top part closed, I think it's 64, right?
Tell me, mate. It's your answer.
I was legit about to say 65,000. I'm not just trying to one-up AJ. I think it's either 65 or 71, but I'll go with 71 just to...
Yeah, Maddie. It's 75,923. It's just 2 sections of the upper tier that are closed.
AJ, how is 2 sections going to equal 20,000 fans?
Because there's only 3 sections. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway.
Oh, you're not talking the entire tier. You're just saying...
Yeah, but you know that anyway. I mean, if you were to take away one end, it would be 65,000 because the 2 sides hold 30,000 each. Anyway. Number 8. Now Maddie's 7-0 up. This is question 9. In what year did Milan win their first European Cup? Closest wins.
It was 55? 54? I'm going to go 54.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's 1954 as well, but 1955.
No, it was 63. Maddie wins again. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to get fucking dragged on Twitter. Holy cow.
I'm getting them way wrong as well. So
yeah, but you're winning everything. That's all anyone pays attention to.
Okay. So number 10, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let you alternate answers. So I'll say AJ name one, Maddie name one, you name one. Yeah. And between you, the first one to name 2 of our 5 oldest ever goal scorers wins this question. All right?
2 of our 5 oldest ever?
Yeah. Oldest ever goal scorers. So I'm just going to alternate between you and you each name one until one of you gets 2 right, basically.
Well, then I'm going to start with Herbert Kilpin, which should be the easiest.
Oldest when they scored.
Oh, that's already your answer. Yeah, that doesn't count.
To clarify, the oldest when they scored. So let's say Ibra now would be 38 years and however many
Yeah.
years.
So
No.
I was gonna say Ibra then for one of them.
You've got one, Maddie?
Inzaghi.
One all?
Did you say no or yes?
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
So
you said
you're
one.
on
Okay.
each.
Then I'm gonna say Maldini. Didn't he score like 39 or something?
AJ wins.
I finally got a
You got a point.
The
So
last
the-
point available.
The 5 oldest, Costa Curta scored at over 41 years of age. Maldini, Inzaghi, then Ibrahimovic, and Nils Leerdholm. So
I would not have guessed any of those last two.
I would have guessed Costa Curta, but I didn't realize he did at fucking 41. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, Costa Curta was well old when he scored. It was kind of a freak thing. So yeah, that's
All right.
quiz done.
Good
Well,
job.
we are now
Actually,
even.
I kind of
I don't-
want. Go on.
I don't owe you beers anymore at the Tigers game because you owe me beers.
Yeah, so no beers. Or you guys can both buy me beers.
No.
So from there, what I want to do is start up a new segment on the podcast that I figure is a little bit more cohesive than what we normally do. Because normally we just chat shite for an hour and people seem to quite enjoy listening to that, but determined to bring a bit more structure to it. This one, Rumour Roundup, is what we're calling it, unless you can think of anything more catchy. But no, we're calling it Rumour Roundup then. So I'll just bring up 3 things that have come up in the media over the last week since we last recorded. Just talk about whether you like it or not. Number 1, Rangnick might not be head coach. He might only become sporting director, and he wants to bring Julian Nagelsmann with him either this summer or next summer. Are you in favour of it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm. Yes and no. I like it because I know how great Nagelsmann is. I don't like it because that means it's 2 more coaches in 2 more years. And it's just like another change. Now, that would be a much more minor change than all the previous ones we've just done over the last however many seasons. Now, is the question, do we believe the rumor or not?
Yeah, throw that in there as well.
I don't think it's – I have a catchier name for the rumors. For the rumors, we call it sound or shit. And I think this is shit.
Bloody sound off shit.
I think it's sound.
Think it's a good idea, or you think it's a solid rumour?
I think it's a solid rumor. I don't know if it's a good idea. At the same, I mean, when was the last time he's actually coached?
Who? Rangnick?
Yeah.
2017-18 season, with
seasons.
Leipzig, until he was the one who handpicked Nagelsmann from Hoffenheim to come and take over and fought off competition from Bayern Munich to do it. I am all for this. What I really like is the report that came out last night on Pietro Prota's live stream, where he said that as far as he knows, Rangnick wants full control for the first year. So for the 2020-21 season, he will have full control of the project, both on and off the pitch, and he'll put everything that he needs, all the mechanisms, whatever, in place. And then for summer 2021, he wants to have his own head coach in there. So I quite like the idea of him coming in, ripping everything out, putting down the foundations, and just giving us a year, see where we are, and then Nagelsmann coming along and being our head coach and ripping up Syria by presenting a system and a style of play that's not been seen yet.
Well, and it works too, because, like I said, yeah, it's something to change, but Nagelsmann uses the same system. It's just slightly varied, And if Randy could come in, like you said, rip up everything, lay that groundwork, Nagelsmann could pick back up and be a long-term manager because he's young. He's a young guy. And I'm not saying Randy's getting close to croaking or anything, but he's obviously older and his ambitions have now moved into the director role. So it makes sense that he would do it temporarily. I'm changing my thing. It's no longer shit. It's sound. God damn it. But I like
sound
it.
idea. I don't agree with it. I think it would have to be a year, to be honest with you. I don't think Nagelsmann's going to leave the project that he's helping to build at Leipzig. They're in a title challenge, sort of. I mean, I know they dropped points again today at home to Christoph Piontek's Hertha Berlin, but they've done incredible things in German football when you consider that Rangnick took over when they were in the 3rd tier and guided them to where they are now. Champions League, still in the knockout stages. They could potentially make a run deep into that competition. I don't see Nagelsmann jumping ship when they're on such an upward trajectory. I think he might have to feel like he's done the best that he can before
If
moving on.
Rangnick would jump ship, so would the coach.
But
because
Rangnick has
why-
kind of already taken a step back and gone to being more of an overseer than a hands-on director. I mean, for example, he was sporting director for Leipzig, and then he gave that role to Paul Mitchell, who's apparently a guy that we're after, and he's just now become the head of football for Red Bull, which is more of an overseeing kind of role. The rumour is that he doesn't really fancy going back into head coaching that much. Obviously, he's 61. Whether that factors into it, I don't know. But I really, really like that idea that he could come in here having pitched his project. In 2021, we'll have Pioli and Gianpaolo off the payroll, and we can just, say, all right.
How old is Julian? He's mid-40s, right?
No, he's like 34.
He's 34, so he's super.
Yeah.
I mean, potentially, if he's like the star that people think he's going to be, that could be like an Arsene Wenger for us. It probably won't be, but
When you look at what he's doing, I just find him such a fascinating character. I mean, before Spurs played that second leg there in the Champions League
he's
knockout.
32.
32, yeah, there you go.
He's 5 years older than me. My life
Yeah.
sucks. Jeez.
He's become the youngest ever.
He's
top
3
flight
years
coach.
older than me.
Your life extra sucks.
He's 9 years older than me.
You still have time to make it.
Yeah.
Don't let
You
us
can become
down.
something.
Yeah, I kind of look like him. Yeah, so interesting character. Obviously, has a way of playing the game. There's a reason that you make it as an established top flight head coach at 32. He clearly has a bit of something about him, and he's probably got another 30 years in him. That's the scary thing to think about. But we'll see. I do like the idea of Rangnick coming and laying the foundations and saying this is how it has to be for when Julian arrives, and then the red carpet's rolled out for him, and he takes us up and up. The thing is, people are setting their expectations like, well, what if we reach the Champions League and start selling players? And I'm like, well, I just kind of want to reach the Champions League again at this point, I do have ambitions of winning trophies, but let's take it a step at a time.
Right. It seems like everyone wants to go from struggling to get Europa to winning Champions League instantly. And it's just not going to happen. We're probably a good decade away from competing for a Champions League title, let alone winning one.
That's if everything goes right.
Away. Exactly. We might be a few years away from getting Champions League. Let's focus on that.
Dude, look what Liverpool did. They went from not getting in to winning it in like 4 years.
That is true. There is evidence that you can do a very quick turnaround, such as Lazio finishing 9th, wherever they did, to all of a sudden being a Scudetto race in 2 years.
Right,
there is evidence, especially in Italy, that can happen.
I mean, Juve did it too.
With a project like we have, there is going to be growing pains. There is.
Weren't Juve mid-table in 2011?
No.
Or not 11. 10 was, the year Inter won the treble, right? They were they finished like 8th or 9th. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're going to steal Scudettos every year.
Then they had Conte and then Allegri.
Well,
Conte did a good job there.
When you pay the refs, that's what happens.
Right.
Oh, libel. Not bad. Second rumour, Bakayoko wants to come back. Chelsea want 35-40 mil. Are you paying it?
Yes. And I think it's stupid we didn't pay the 25 when we had the chance.
It was 35.
Fuck it. I think it's stupid we didn't pay the 35 when we had the chance. Pay it now. We need him. Imagine that pivot with him and Benacer. That's perfect.
I'm going to drop in a listener question here because I think this is the perfect time to do it. This one comes from Milan and then a load of numbers. I won't read them all out. It says, would you rather sign Tonali for 50 mil or Szoboszlai and Bakayoko for 60 mil?
The second one.
Yeah. Because we know what Bakayoko is going to do with the team.
Yep.
We know he's consistent. As much as I love Tonali and want him, we just talked about how depth is always a problem for us. So if we could get 2 players, quality players, one a bit more of a risk than the other, but only spend 10 mil more than we would on Tonali, it makes sense to me.
Me too. As much as I absolutely adore the idea of a Benacer Tonali double pivot, I think it's important that we address 2 positions. I think Bakayoko Benacer could be a really functional midfield if Rangnick wants it, and then also Szoboszlai playing out on the left fixes the problem of having to play Çalhanoğlu in any position, and it moves Rebic closer to goal, especially if we were to get Jovic somehow. Then it means that we would sort that side of the pitch out entirely. So I'm for that. But also I acknowledge how good it would be to get Sandro Tonali. I don't think we'll end up getting him kicker would be if he went to Inter. I'd rather him go to Juve, to be brutally honest, at this
Yeah.
point. But
I think he does go to Inter. That's what it sounds like, right?
it's kind of looking like it.
Yeah.
So I
It
can't
doesn't matter. They won't win anything. So
Don't fucking say that, because that's how they keep
haven't won
getting
out for a
places.
while,
I
though.
keep saying that, and they keep getting Champions League.
doesn't mean they're winning.
Yeah, I haven't been saying they're winning. I'm going to say they're not getting Champions League. You're saying they're not winning, which means they're going to win.
I don't have the kind of luck that you have.
Sometimes, I don't know. All right, moving on. What's the next sounder shit?
Final sound or shit. 4 players that we apparently want from France. I didn't do this last week, did I? No, I
I
didn't.
don't think so.
So there's 4 players that we apparently want from France. All of them, the surname begins with K. Let's go through. Boubacar Kamara, centre back from Marseille, apparently worth 40 mil. He's young. He's like 20. I think he's 21. I'll start by saying this guy would be the perfect partner for Romagnoli. But
I like him.
this-
My roommate is a big PSG fan, so I've watched a decent amount of Ligue 1 over the last year and a half or so. And I've
enough
seen
to call it Ligue 1.
Yeah. I've seen enough to be like, all right, yeah, this kid's got potential. He's solid. And I signed him in FIFA because he has like high potential rating, but obviously that's not a real gauge. But yeah, I'm for it. I mean, can't hurt.
No idea who the guy is, but
Yeah,
sure.
I'm gonna assume that that's the case for the next 3 names as well. The other one's PSG defender Tanguy Kouassi.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, I'm a big fan of
This
that kid.
guy is supposedly mint. Like, there's 3 different journalists from France who are like PSG experts, whatever.
Yeah, John
who
Legossi.
have all said, "Oh my god, it'd be terrible if they lost this guy on a free."
Mhm.
And it sounds pretty good from our point of view. Like, we're ready to throw him in there. I mean, this guy's played a decent number of first team appearances. He's 17 years old.
Yeah.
And he's been thrown in there. And there's people been saying he's off the Upamecano mold. And it's like, we could pay 60 mil for him. I'll get this guy for free and just give him a year to kind of figure it out. You know, I'm all for this, man. Let's get this done.
I like the kid. So I've seen him when he's been next to Thiago Silva, and I've seen him take Thiago's place next to Kimpembe instead. And he always looks fantastic. Well, one really good thing about this, besides being young and talented and all that stuff that you just mentioned, is he plays on a team that only knows winning. He brings that mentality to us as a young player. It's only going to get better, you know?
As long as he can be a leader.
100% for it.
17.
I mean, he's never had to be a leader yet because he's got, that squad.
But he's played next to one in
but
Thiago Silva.
He's played next to Thiago Silva as much as we hate him. Buffon, he's
I
played
don't
next
hit. Well, yeah.
You should. But, like, just people who have that big personality on the pitch. I mean, he's played next to a lot of them, and I think it's a
Wait,
great
you hate
mix.
Buffon or Thiago Silva?
Buffon.
I thought you
don't-
meant you hate Thiago Silva.
Oh, no. There's
Same.
no reason to hate him.
You
No.
said that after the thing. Yeah, yeah.
I don't necessarily hate Buffon. I don't like him as a Juve player, but
I respected up until the point that he was like, I'm going to come back and take the Serie A appearances.
Right.
Oh, I lost it when he said that so whatever he said about Muntari's ghost goal. That's when I lost it. Yeah, I was like, nah, fuck this guy.
So, yeah, Kouassi it wouldn't be free. It'd be like a compensation fee, which I believe at the moment is 400,000 euros or something very small. But every single expert who speaks about PSG, whether they're doing this as some kind of like, I don't know, brainwashing mission, are all saying, don't let him go. So,
yeah, that's the one.
Great
way to get back at them for taking Ibra and Thiago from us when they
would be to develop him into like a mint defender, and Thiago Silva goes for free back to Brazil or whatever. The third one is Pierre Kalulu, who plays for Lyon as a right back. Now, the way I look at it is that if we were to sell both right backs, we are still in need of a backup right back, and this guy would be a free as well because he's not signed a professional contract, even though he's 19 years old. He's played a lot for Lyon's development squad, and he's apparently being chased by Bayern Munich, but we've put the best offer on the table. Again, I'm like, even if this guy were to come up as a backup right back for the senior team, and we were to sign someone like Dumfries or Odriozola as a senior right back, I think it makes sense as a free. Because Calabria is potentially going to go for like 10 mil, and because he's an academy product, that's 10 mil pure capital gain. So sign his replacement for free, and then that money's now available.
It's still just a gain.
Areas.
That's basically my reasoning for it, is what you just said. I don't really know the player. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to sell Calabria, and I think we will, then it makes perfect sense to get a free replacement that could potentially be better. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. I'd like to think anybody could be better than Conte's been this season, and Calabria. But I'm biased towards our Primavera graduates, and who could potentially come good. And the final one is leaving Kazawa, who's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Free as a left back. I'm saying no because high salary, and also we only need a backup left back, so someone who's young and is willing to kind of learn. And I don't think Kazawa's going to accept sort of $3 million a year to be Teo Hernandez's backup.
So we had a listener question, like, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 months ago, and someone asked, who's a player that most people don't know that you're a big fan of, but you are? And I said Kurzawa from PSG, so I want him on our squad. But yeah, realistically, it's not happening, and it doesn't make any sense. But I like him.
Mad Dog.
I don't know if he's going to want to sign to be a backup, but we can give it a shot.
I'd rather sign someone younger who's a bit less risk financially, because the problem is that I think he earns at least $5 million net at the moment, and it's like,
yeah, that's a lot.
He'd instantly be our second highest paid player, and that's kind of
he knows on the bench.
I mean, everyone has inflated wages at PSG. Like, they know when they leave that club, especially towards the end of their career, they're getting paid less. But also, I don't think his skill level is where it needs to be to justify a $3 million or a 2.5 even. You know, it would basically just be like the NBA or the soccer version of an NBA's veteran contract. You know,
the one thing I will say about him is that the person that I did speak to, Ed from PSG Talk, it's on our exclusives page. I spoke to him about the players that we've mentioned. Says that Kazawa was very good at going forward, not that great at defending, and it sounds to me like if we're after a similar mould left back to sort of fit the same tactical system, in that we have an attacking left-sided player, then maybe that might be the kind of player that we'd go for, someone in that mould in terms of the work rates. But apart from that, you know, not too bothered. Final rumour, we'll make it quick and then do a couple of listener questions. Mario Götze.
No.
I'm so torn. The wage is the issue. It
If
comes
he
down
were
to the
to
wage.
take a wage cut,
It would have to be substantial. I like him. I think there's still potential in him. I think he's kind of been wasted potential.
Where is he going to
The
play?
World Cup. I mean, if we do that 4-2-3-1, he'll take Çalhanoğlu's spot.
But what has Çalhanoğlu done to lose his spot?
What has he done to have it?
He's one of the best players we have behind the scenes.
I think we need to be
and you guys
thinking
have
about
preached that as well.
We need to behind this.
I just like Mario Götze. I always rooted for him in when the 2014 World Cup. I was so hyped that he scored it, the winner, and then he just hasn't really done much when he was at Bayern, and then now coming back to Dortmund, he hasn't done much either. So I mean, it's a free transfer.
Struggle with injuries.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I
we
think
need
that
to start
ship has
thinking
sailed.
about. We need to start thinking about players. I understand the whole, like, where would he fit in the current system? Yeah, he'd fit as an attacking midfielder, but we need to start thinking about players who play Rangnick's formation, which is a 4-4-2, like a narrow 4-4-2.
A 4-2-2-2.
Yeah, exactly. And Götze could potentially play one of those roles perfectly, because he has played out wide in the past and he has played more centrally. But the key thing for me is people who are slagging off his work rate and saying that he's too lazy to be a player for us. He's too injury prone. I understand the injury thing, but say he's too lazy to play for us. You know, his peak was under Klopp at Dortmund, and that is one of the hardest working teams, football teams I've ever seen. And then he went to Bayern under Pep, and they worked very, very hard as well. So he knows how to graft as an attacker.
People only say he's lazy because he's just a naturally kind of a chubbier guy. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I would do it if he were to take a pay cut, because I really don't understand how you can pass up a player who's scored however many Bundesliga goals, racked up however many assists, has a World Cup winning goal under the belt, on a free transfer. You can't really pass that up. And he wants to come because his missus has a modelling job in Italy, so there's a bit of added motivation to make things work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, couple of questions and then we'll wrap it up. Lance the Local asked a couple on DM. This one was an interesting one. I'd forgotten he existed. Alan Halalovic.
He's not
a second.
He's not on loan anymore. We sold him. He's gone. He's not coming back.
Have we had this
That was
before?
also not in DM. That was on Twitter, I think.
I don't think that part matters, but
I sent
I'm
it in the
pretty
group
sure
chat.
he
Oh,
No, he's
has
on loan
left.
from us. He's still on loan from us
What?
at SC Ehrenby.
I thought it was a 2-year loan, right?
He had his loan terminated at Standard Liège before. In January, we loaned him out to Ehrenby. Or sometime last year. He had a 2-year loan, and we cut it short to 1 year, and then loaned him to Holland.
Oh,
And he's apparently
maybe
shy.
I think that loan goes to the end of his contract, right?
That
Is
might
that
be
what it
right.
is?
That
I don't
might
think
be
we bring
right.
him back. I think that was a let's get him off the books, a dead weight kind of thing. He's not coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's still only 23, but like if Rangnick
We don't
wants to
have
give,
time to develop those. We don't have
but
time.
if he wants to give him a look and say, let's see if there's something there, then let's do it. Anyway, next question.
He's got
from
great
Lance the
English.
Local.
Not that it
Yeah,
matters.
but he's called Alan, not Alan.
I know, but I talked to him. He was
Blame
nice.
his parents.
Just
Oh, really?
yeah. I met him in L.A.
When he came to the Champions Cup.
Yeah, and I was rude. Didn't mean to be, but it was the first
Who are
time
you?
like he had been right. It was the first time he had been seen publicly after he like shaved his head because he had that long hair.
Yeah,
And he walked
did
in the
you?
door, and I see like Donnarumma, and I'm starstruck. Romagnoli, Bonucci, fucking Kalinic walks in, and then Halilovic. And the first thing I say when I see everyone was like, "You got a haircut," and he's like, "Yes." And that was it. And I was like, "Okay, sign my scarf."
Will you sign this?
Yeah,
You got a haircut.
Yeah,
Holding it down.
everyone was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" I was weird.
Yeah, actually keep him then, just for that reason alone. Who is the best signing you've ever made on FIFA on a Milan career mode who you wish we'd signed or will sign in real life?
I've made some dumb fucking signings, man. Like you get a few years into it, you could do anything, and like you get Mbappe, you get Messi. So I've signed everyone.
I suppose it's a bit realistic.
I always sign some American players. just
Weston
'cause-
McKennie scored today.
Yeah. Like a dream signing, or just like, who am I stupid in signing? I sign John
Well,
Anthony Brooks every time.
I know you
He's
do.
my first signing. He's a great defender, and in FIFA he doesn't get injured.
That's fair. I always tend to sign either Thiago Alcantara from Bayern
Good shout.
or Arthur Mella from Barcelona. From Milan, anyway, because we really, really need a ball-playing central defensive midfielder, and those two are just perfect for it. And also, Milan have an unrealistic budget. They're like, "There's your money to spend," and I'm like, "Really?"
There's a striker who I think in real life is like 17 that I signed, and I don't know. It's like a Northampton save, League 2 team or whatever. That I'm like 6 years in, and he's like 97 rated. Fabio or Fabian Silva, something like that. I can't even remember where he plays. Teenager now, low stuff, but yeah, he grew quick. He was fantastic.
So if Gordon or Paul Singer is listening to this, sign Fabian Silva.
Yeah, Fabian or Fabio, I can't remember one of them, but he's like
One of the two.
looks kind of like you, but with Halilovic's long hair.
Great looking guy then.
Yeah.
Final one comes from Kyrie or Kyrie. I don't know which one it is. Your favorite ever Milan shirt?
Favorite ever? I don't know about favorite ever, but my favorite in recent memory was our final home shirt with Adidas.
Nice one at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite one I have is that one, or the Prince Boateng one, where
The gold
it
one.
was thick stripes, and on the back the collar popped a little bit, and underneath the collar
Oh,
it's
yeah.
AC Milan.
Mm.
I like
One
that
of
one
those
too.
two.
2012-13.
Was that was the gold kit the third kit for that year, or was it the year after? Was the gold kit
13-14. It was the last year that Kaká played for us. Was the
That's
gold
right,
kit.
yeah.
He scored in that under the
That's-
Atletico fans and like them.
That might be my
Yeah,
favorite
if-
one that I own.
If
Oh,
I
no.
were to buy a gold kit, it'd be a Kaká one.
I'd buy that gold Sheva one from the Centenary.
Oh
season.
yeah.
That is such a lovely.
Ooh.
I've seen one with Shevchenko's name on the back.
I actually like the one
£200.
you got on now that your girl got you.
It's nice.
Is
isn't
that
it?
the one?
Oh,
I thought
no,
it
I
was
bought
blue.
this one.
Oh,
No,
you-
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just the
The other
camera
one I got
was
was the
making
blue
it darker.
one.
Yeah, I like
It doesn't
that blue
have a
one.
name on it. I like this
I
one.
really
Have you
like
proposed yet,
our
or-
rumored blue design for next season. Obviously, we don't know what it's going to look
Inspired by the one that she
Yeah.
got. Yeah,
like. I
that's
think
a
it looks
beauty.
nice.
Absolute beauty.
Oliver, have you proposed yet?
Not just yet, mate. One more, and then that's it. I'll be tiptoeing the edge. And she does listen to all these, so cheers for that.
She's like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Jordan High.
I'm glad he works as well. Just have to get us sending in questions now, I suppose. And that's it. I don't have any more questions. So it's been a pleasure. 101 club. Hey boys, this is it. Here's to another 100. But in the meantime, thank you for listening, everybody. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher or at Kilpin Chronicle for some more explicit Milan-based rants. Been joined by Anthony AJ Torgrud.
That's me, all my names. Find me on Twitter at Torgud45. And Madison, you did good this week.
Yeah, I'm the champion, dude.
I know. Slaughtered me.
Destroyed. Kind of like how I lost in FIFA, but redemption, you know?
Yeah.
You guys can go and follow me at Madison_DT.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We'll catch you in a week's time.
Tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Gol! Alessio Romagnoli, gol! Alessio Romagnoli!